whispered ramble, and I want to tell you all about Mighty Hoopla, which is a music festival here in the UK. You may not be familiar with it if you don't live here, but I'm here to tell you all about it. And before we start, it would be amazing if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel down below, as it's extremely beneficial for my channel. And it would be even better if you could leave just a tiny little comment, even just a smiley face. And now let's get right into it. Mighty Hoopla is a big festival. It's advertised as a queer, gay, LGBTQ plus festival, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. And if I'm not mistaken, the big event is at the beginning of June. It's over a weekend, and it happened here in London on the 1st and 2nd of June, just this past week. And they also do a big weekend in January, I think, somewhere else in the UK. It's a huge event for the gay community, and I thought mainly people from London went, because it is in South London, but it turns out people from all around, well, at least England, as far as I know, travel to London for the weekend. You can do just one day, you don't have to do the whole weekend. They sell separate tickets, so you can do just a Saturday or just a Sunday, or you can do both. Now, what happens usually is that the tickets are released the day after Mighty Hoopla for the following year. So I think yesterday already the tickets for Mighty Hoopla 2025 in June were released. What a lot of people tend to do, for example me, we tend to buy both tickets immediately because we don't want them to sell out, and then if we can go to the event, we go. But if we realise that we can't go anymore, then we try to sell the tickets. It's insane what happens in the lead up to Mighty Hoopla, because people are desperate to get tickets. Some people then get sick, so they can't go anymore, and they want to sell their tickets. Some people have other things to do, some people need to work, so the buying and selling of tickets it's a national crisis for the gay community around Mighty Hoopla time. I've only ever been to the June one. I've never done the January one, so I can't comment on it. But we're going to talk about the June one. I went to the first one 3 years ago, I think, selling one, usually the Sunday, but because all my friends were doing both days, I thought I would join them for the experience and just to be together. Now, maybe this is a bit less hardcore as a festival than other ones I've never been to. Any other ones, for example, Glastonbury, or well, any other in my life. So I can't really compare it, but it is much softer than I expected, and it's brilliant. It's held in a big park in South London, in Brixton, if you're familiar with the area, and it has several stages, and you can pick and choose which stage to go to. Throughout the day, it's a day festival. It starts at noon, I think, and it ends at 10:30. Both days. Some people go partying somewhere else afterwards, usually on the Saturday, but that's not a part of the event itself. And because it's in June, it's supposed to be summer, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. The park is huge, and some of these stages are inside a tent. Some are not, like the main stage. The main stage is out in the open, and you have a lot of food stalls, and you have rides as well, dodgems and a few other rides, but that's not the main reason why people go there. And the main attraction is the music, obviously, because of the lineup of artists. So the lineup is always a big topic of discussion throughout the year. They have a headliner on each day, performing at the very end of the festival, and then they have smaller and minor artists throughout the day. It's a lot of artists if you consider that there are a lot of stages. Although the stages that do have these sort of famous artists are primarily singers. Other stages and tents have more alternative performances. For example, drag queens, famous drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, or other drag and LGBTQ plus communities with performers that are popular here in London and in England. So there is something for everyone. Again, you can pick and choose where to go, when to go. Some tickets are before 1 p.m, some tickets are before 2 p.m, and some tickets are general admission. So depending on the ticket that you have, you can then pick and choose when to go. Now the problem is that there isn't much reception inside the park, so if you go with a group of friends, you do want to meet them beforehand, so before going into the festival, so you want to go inside as a group, because it's very hard to find each other because there is no signal usually. There is also an app that tells you, it shows you the times of all the lineups of all the stages, so you can pick first act that allows people to go to different stages and also to go to the toilet to go and get some food and then come back. It's packed with people, so you need to remember that. And if you really want to go and see an artist, and if you want to be at the front, you really need to go there fairly early, straight after the previous artist is finished, because you do want to make sure you allow yourself a lot of time to get close to the artist if you want to be that close. So the first time I went was a brilliant experience. I had no expectations. I didn't know what to expect, and the main actor that I wanted to see was Anastasia. Now, I've made another video on how I became a performer. I am a singing drag queen. That's my full-time job. So I sing for a living, and Anastasia is the artist that turned me on to music when I was much younger. Now, I grew up in Italy, and Anastasia over there is huge. Well, she was even more huge in the past, whereas here in England we only know 2 songs. We only know I'm At Our Love and Left Outside Alone, which still made her a huge star here in the UK, but she's nowhere near as big as she is in Italy, where we know a lot more of her songs. And as a performer, watching her was a glorious experience. Also, over the years, she's had a lot of health problems. She's had breast cancer, and also I think lately she's had something else, or something still related to her breast cancer, but also something affecting her voice as a singer. I mean, being a singer may sound glamorous, and it's amazing when you sing, but it's also a curse, because we really need to take care of our voices, and it's really hard in the sense that if you catch a bug, you catch a bug. There's nothing you can do about it, and it's pretty much out of your control. So if you lose your voice, you lose your voice. There is nothing you can do. There is no drug that you can take to fix it straight away there and then. There is nothing you can do. And I know that in the past years she's had to cancel quite a few concerts and shows all around Europe because of her poor voice health. So I was a bit nervous when she stepped onto the stage, because I felt, well, obviously I wanted to see her in full form as an audience member, but also as a singer I felt sorry for her, because I was worried she might not be able to perform to the best of her abilities, and I know what that feels like. You feel so powerless and so insignificant and so lifeless, because the one thing that brings you pure joy gets taken away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because again, if I catch a cold, a specific cold that affects my voice, I catch a cold, there's not much that I can do about it. But she was glorious. She was phenomenal. Her voice was on point. She performed, she delivered, and that was my first time seeing her ever. And I can't quite put into words what that meant to me as a fan and as a performer. She wasn't the main headliner. She only did 4 to 5 minutes, but I was just ecstatic to be there. Then I think that year we also had Natalie Imbruglia, and I don't remember who else. performing at MIGHTY HOOPLA last year, Beyonce was holding her own full concert here in London at the same time. So for example, Beyonce, it's very unlikely that she would do MIGHTY HOOPLA because she's just too big and still too relevant for that. Some artists may try to use MIGHTY HOOPLA as a way to start their comeback. But yes, it's in my experience, it's fairly unlikely that you will see an extremely irrelevant performer at the time at MIGHTY HOOPLA. Oh, a great artist that I saw 2 years ago was Natasha Bedingfield. I can never, my brain would not allow me to remember her surname. I think it's Bedingfield. I do apologise to her if she's watching. She's a singer of Unwritten, which is feel the rain on your skin, no one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. Now that song is one of the biggest songs here in the UK, at least, and I think she had one more hit, but then, yeah, she's no Beyonce, she sort of disappeared, and I watched her performance. I only knew Unwritten. I have to say, I didn't know the other songs that she sang, and it was a very difficult performance for me to watch because she was sensational. She was insanely good. She was, oh gosh, astoundingly amazing. And which was great, obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's actually what made it hard for me to watch as a performer, not as a civilian. She is so good that she deserves more than what she had. I mean, the success of Unwritten is, well, I suppose global, but if not global, it's big enough for her to be called back to, MIGHTY HOOPLA. But given her talent, she should have had much more success, mainstream success. I know she released a few more albums, a few more songs, but it never really happened for her in a mainstream way. I don't even know if that's what she wants, but obviously, as someone who doesn't know her story, I assume that's what every artist would want. Her voice is amazing. The notes that she hit, even the songs that I didn't know, I have to say, I didn't particularly like, but her vocal talent is unparalleled, and that's what made it hard for me, because I felt for her, because given her talent, she should not have needed to be at MIGHTY HOOPLA. She should be on the charts right now. And that's why, for example, I find it hard to watch The X Factor when it was on here in England, because I found it hard to watch the auditions because some people were just bad and delusional. Fair enough. But some people were really, really, really good. But for some reason, for one reason or another, they never made it. They never had their break. And as a performer myself, I find that extremely hard and painful to watch because I feel for them, because I put myself in their shoes. That could be me with a good talent that is just either not fully good enough, or I'm just not in the right place at the right time. And this sets off a whole downward spiral of thoughts about why are some people successful and some are not. But anyway, so watching her was revelation, because I just knew that song and I didn't even know what she looked like as a person, but she was amazing. But also it was a little bit sad, at least for me. This year we all agreed that the lineup was not the best for Saturday or Sunday. On Saturday, the only acts that I wanted to see were Cher Lloyd, who you may primarily know if you live in the UK, and Nelly Furtado. She was the main headliner on the main stage on Saturday. I know she's planning a comeback, a big comeback, and it was really nice to see her and to hear her songs again. I have to say, as a performer, she didn't really blow me away. She didn't really do much on stage to captivate the audience, but she had the power of her songs on her side, so she didn't really have to do much. So yes, I wasn't as mesmerised by her as I thought I would be, but it was still great to see her perform. And on Sunday, I only wanted to see Rita Ora, who we all thought would be the main headlining act on the main stage, but she wasn't. She was right before the main headliner, who was Jessie Ware. Now, Jessie Ware apparently does a lot of festivals, and she has a big following, but I have to say that I don't particularly know her. I only know her for one song, which is a great, amazing ballad called Say You Love Me. Anything else and everything else that she sang, I did not know. So we all wondered why Rita Ora was not the main act. A few fun facts about this Mighty Hoopla this year. So far here in England, we haven't had much of a summer. The weather has been pretty bad. It's been raining a lot, and I will make a video where I defend the weather in London because I love it. But in all fairness, last year we did not have a summer at all, which was quite upsetting, and that was the first time something like that had ever happened to me. And this year, well, we haven't had any kind of summer yet, unfortunately. So what did this mean? It's been raining a lot, and I think the week before Mighty Hoopla there was another event in the same park, which was a disaster apparently because of the rain, because obviously it's a park. It got really muddy, and there was also, well, a chance, or at least fear, that the event might be cancelled. Bear in mind that people, buy Mighty Hoopla tickets very much in advance, and some of them travel to London for it, so they need to organise transport, accommodation, so it is a big event, it's a big affair. But they didn't cancel it, and I have to say, in terms of management, they were really good, because they released a statement a couple of days before Saturday saying that they'd put down extra those plastic tiles that you can put on a park, so you can walk on it. Now, this had never happened before. Usually, because it's summery enough, we just go to the park with no extra floor needed. But this time they did put down a lot of this plastic floor, and they put a lot of because although they'd put down all these extra things, obviously you can't really control mud, and there was also a chance that it would rain on Saturday, on the day while we were there. So everyone ran and rushed to physical and online shops to buy wellies. Now, I didn't want to buy wellies, but I did on Saturday morning because I didn't want to risk it, because I don't wear wellies anywhere, because I don't even do DIY, so I will never need them again. And what happened was that everyone started trying to sell tickets, because they didn't want to go to Mighty Hoopla on Saturday anymore, because they did not want to be caught in the rain. So apart from the usual resale process that happens every year, this time there were even more people trying to sell tickets because they didn't want to risk it. We went, and it was winter. It was absolute winter, and I had so many layers on me and my bag because I get cold very easily. I was wearing my wellies, and I have to say, although it was cold, it wasn't as unpleasant as we all thought it would be. These fake plastic tiles and the mulch did a great job. There were only a couple of patches that had mud, but they weren't even important places that we had to go to. And the great thing was that it didn't rain. So it was cloudy. It wasn't a summer day for sure, but it could have gone so much worse. We were very, very lucky. And on Sunday, we were all ready to repeat the same thing, but the forecast had predicted better weather, and oh my god, it was pure summer. We all woke up on Sunday morning, ready with our wellies and all of that, but no, it was summer, so no wellies. Again, we went from the winter of the Saturday to the summer of the Sunday, and the atmosphere at Mighty Hoopla was completely different. There were many more people than the Saturday, and it was just a different, warmer atmosphere. And the crazy thing was that still on Sunday morning, people were still trying to sell and buy tickets. It was insane. So yes, it was great. Although I didn't particularly care for the acts. Well, I loved Rita Ora, and I really wanted to see her. But again, the general lineup was not anything worth going to see. In my opinion, the whole atmosphere, the whole experience of being with my friends the whole time was brilliant. Now, this festival is considered a gay LGBTQ plus festival, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but I've only just remembered that I didn't expand on that. Now, I have to be completely honest, I don't know why it's advertised as such. Now, it is gay, I mean it is all sorts of gay, so I can see why, but at the same time I find it really strange that the straights, they don't even know of Mighty Hoopla. Straight men and straight women do not even know that Mighty Hoopla exists. They don't know that it's happening, and I find it really strange because although yes, it's true that it's mainly LGBTQ plus people that go, and it is, gay pop music that they try to advertise, and there are a lot of drag queens and all of that. But all that being said, some straight people may like the acts performing. I'm sure that a lot of men would have loved to see Nelly Furtado for one reason or another, and a lot of straight women would have liked a lot of the acts because, as I said earlier, they're more or less a blast from the past. And if you're familiar with the gay community, especially gay men, course, I would never tell a straight person to go there, but in Mighty Hoopla there is none of this. There is no sex involved. There are no areas where you can have sex. There is no encouragement to have sex. There is nothing sexual about Mighty Hoopla. Again, yes, the gays do take over that day, but again, I can't quite see why a straight person wouldn't want to go. Of course, they may want to go as a group of straight people, but again, I don't see why they wouldn't want to go. But it's insane how they just don't even know it exists. I've always found it very fascinating, because I perform in a lot of straight venues, and when I talk to them about Mighty Hoopla, it just falls flat. No one reacts because they have no idea, and they think it's just one of those gay things that we gay do. But again, if you are straight, I highly recommend that you do go, because based on the lineup, if you find acts that you want to see, I highly recommend you go. Now, the tickets are £65 per day, so if you do the weekend, it's around £130, which of course feels like a lot, especially for me. I mean, it's always a dagger through my heart to buy these tickets, but if you think about the fact that you see so many acts, I mean, whether you like them or not is beside the point. It's a reasonable price, I would say. You can buy food there, you can buy drinks, everything is extortionate. It's insane, and I'm so glad that I don't drink alcohol or even soft drinks, because, oh gosh, they fleece you to death there. Even the only thing that I drink is a